Hi, and welcome to another episode of Celebrating Small Family Businesses. And today we are in Dallas, Texas, with Clifford and Brandy Walker, the founders of the Real Estate Corral Investors Network. Hi, Clifford. Hi, Brandy. Welcome.
Ooh, doggy. What's going on, y'all? How are y'all?
This is great. I love Dallas.
We're good. Yeah, you're just missing that big old JRU and Cowboy hat, right? But I know you got
it's right
one.
there. It's not too far.
I know you got one. Oh, man. Well, we're so glad to get to know you guys and to have you on our podcast. Let's start by, how did you get to founding the Real Estate Corral Investors Network?
Well, first off, it's an honor and a blessing and a privilege to be here with y'all. We definitely appreciate it for sure. We really do. Now, how did we start founded the Real Estate Corral? It's
Well, like your history of your business, because I think you guys, before you were real estate investors, you were long haul. I
was a truck driver,
right?
Yeah.
And I was a teacher.
I was a truck driver. She was a teacher, and somewhere along the way, while I was truck driving, I ended up hearing a podcast about wholesaling real estate and real estate investing. And so it struck my nerves, to say the least, in a good way, to where I'm like, I can do that. Like, just everything the guy was saying was incredible. And so I come home and I tell Brandy, like, we're finna start wholesaling real estate. And she's like, what?
What is that?
Exactly. And so, long story short, we get into real estate investing, wholesaling, fixing flips, buying rentals. And then the coach and the mentor that I had within his community was like, well, what is Clifford and Brandy doing? Like, how are they getting deals and doing deals? And so much so to where we were inviting people over to our house and like just showing them what we were doing. And then fast forward past that, we ended up launching the Real Estate Corral Investors Network, which is a private community and an education platform showing people how to get started in wholesaling or fixing flips or buying their first rental property.
That is so interesting.
Wow.
You had the secret sauce. And so way back in the day, I don't remember the date, the year, but no money down became like a big deal. And all across the state, there was one guy that was really famous for that, and he did some stuff like drop me in a town and I'll buy, $100,000 worth of property in 2 days with no money or something.
Yeah.
And then he started putting together these big, seminars where they had 40 speakers and everybody had their different thing. And that ran its course and went away. But there's always, of course, been real estate investing, but the bull market in that went away for a bit.
Yeah.
So the hard part, the common saying is you make your money when you buy the property. The common wisdom is, you buy it right. And to be able to do that, I think you got to be a pretty good negotiator or pretty savvy in picking the property. So is that the secret sauce you guys had, or what?
I think the secret sauce, honestly, is focusing on serving. So I think that when it comes to like us getting deals and real estate deals, the way that we did it was direct to sellers. So we didn't go after stuff that was on the MLS. And so we would talk to sellers who were filing divorce or in bankruptcy or foreclosure. Well, when people are going through very tough seasons like that, they don't need people to come in there and just lowball them on their property. I think that's a huge issue in our industry, and that's one reason we founded the Real Estate Corral, because we are changing that narrative when it comes to real estate investors, and we're a community that's built on serving other people, right? And so I can go in there and say, hey, Mr. Seller, hey, Miss Seller, how can we serve you? How can we help you through this season, right? Whether we're a good fit to work together or not. But to your question, you do make money when you buy it.
Yes. But that's, I mean, so instead of some of the things that I saw back in the day talking about, buying foreclosures and things, it was, there is that kind of predatory stigma attached to it. So how do you create a win-win? I mean, it really got me curious here. How do you create a win-win, with that, in that situation?
And I think that it's, and you're so spot on too. There's a huge stigma, even like with other agents, like, oh, investors are slimy, or investors are just going to want to take advantage. And I honestly find real estate professionals, I think there's a difference, because a lot of the people that focus on serving have longevity and they've been in the business for a very long time. But to your point, I think it's just creating a win-win situation and figuring out, hey, this is our offer. Does this work for you? If not, then okay, let's explore other options, right? And going down this kind of checklist, so to speak, to make sure that you feel good about the deal, we feel good about the deal. Everybody should be happy when we go to the closing table. Nobody should feel like they're being taken advantage of.
So smart.
Yeah.
So smart. We sold a house many years ago, and it was the combination of the location, the design of the house, and it had been on the market for a while. And we'd worked with at least one, I think two different brokers over a year period with no offers. And somebody else we knew that was kind of like you're talking about, a real straight shooter, came in, sat down with us, and did their homework, of course, but then told us, look, this is it's sad, but this is what it's likely to sell for, and we had to lower our price $50,000.
Oh wow!
And that was really hard, but they came in, Hank and Helga. They came in kind of like you're saying, more consultative and saying, you haven't been treated right before, but this is the way it is. And, options are you can wait, or you can, if you want to move on with your life, let's get it sold. And man, it got sold.
Within inside of a couple months. Yeah.
Wow.
And it wasn't way underpriced. It wasn't, she didn't come in just to try to, any commission's a good commission, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, got it done. And that, we didn't like having to lower our price, but we appreciated the honesty. And so it made it much more easy to move forward with that.
Nice.
Is that kind of how you guys operate?
I think so. 1,000%, or at least in my opinion, that's the way I try to.
So, Brandy, how did you get involved with this? Are you still teaching, or did you move on?
Well, I guess you could say he retired me early from teaching. When I was teaching, I felt like I was missing something. I felt like there was a void, still in my life. And Clifford was able to hire me and use my help. So yeah, I think it's definitely created less stress. I mean, of course, the job comes with responsibilities, but I'd say it's taken a lot of stress and even improved my health, being able to walk away from that. So,
Nice.
So what did you learn about Clifford that you didn't know before you started your business?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that question. I like where this is going.
Well, I would say despite, seeing him, he normally wears his cowboy hat every day. Despite seeing him in a cowboy hat, I kind of started to see his cowboy tendencies, you could say. Clifford is very much visionary, and I love that about him. But he will see something and just run. Like he'll take off. He'll have an idea and he'll take off running. And oftentimes I'm like having to catch up with him. I'm like, okay, wait, what are we doing? But yeah, I've definitely seen the cowboy in him.
So the funny thing, in our team meetings, they call it me going cowboy.
Yeah.
So they say, Clifford, did you go cowboy?
Are you going cowboy?
Oh.
Yeah.
Cowboy, is that the going fast, like charging into, riding a horse real fast? Or is that more about just not being afraid to just take on whatever comes up?
I think the latter. Just taking on any challenge head on and no fear. Like, he's just gonna do it. Yeah.
We'll fumble or figure it out on the way down.
Yeah.
or wake up with some bruises from hitting the ground. Either one.
Or both.
Or both.
Wake up with the bruises. I like that.
Well, and that's learning, right? And that's part of what we're here for.
Yeah.
So, Clifford, tell me, what have you learned about Brandy in this situation?
Let me think of something real quick.
Oh, dear.
No, there's so much.
Good.
I had to respect her working style, if that makes sense.
It does.
It's completely opposite from me.
Same issue.
And I've learned that just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that's what works for her. And I just know and trust. I had to learn and trust that, okay, whatever the assignment is, it's going to be done. It's going to be done in time. I just have to know that and trust that and not wonder just because she's starting on it at 2:00 and it's due at 3.
A bit of a procrastinator, is that what you're trying to say?
That our styles is done, but I know that it'll be done.
You just described one of the big challenges of business growth for the
and a
owner,
small family business in particular,
especially family, is the challenge of delegation. I mean, that happens in different settings, but for somebody who was a sole proprietor for a long time, and then somebody comes in and they want to offload the work to them, but nobody is going to do it the way they do it. It's just not going to happen. So they've got to get over that hump of letting them and learning to trust that they're going to get it done, even if it's a little different than the way they would do it. Yeah. So yay.
Yeah. John's dad was the sole owner of micromanaged land.
Okay. All right.
Well, he had a big spread.
Yeah.
Big ranch.
Yeah.
And he had to make sure that everybody knew who was in line.
There you go.
Well, good for you two for working that out. Because like I said, it's not easy doing that, as you well know.
No. I think that people have to make it fun, number one. Mm-hmm. I know that business can be stressful. Especially making money is stressful, or not making money is extremely stressful. Mm-hmm. But people have to understand, or at least in my opinion, anytime anybody's starting, especially a new company, there's going to be some volatility in income. I think that if there's hard, honest conversations and you're okay with the discomfort, just make it fun and go through it. Go through the season, right? Like, I think what helped us the most is neither one of us really grew up with money. So
it does make a difference.
We used to cut coupons and I've seen her stretch $1 for Thanksgiving dinners for us and everything in between. So if things start to get tight, like we don't freak out. Like we don't panic. It's like, okay, we've been here before and we ain't missed a meal. Clearly, looking at my size, I ain't missed a meal, right? So and I think that if there's other couples listening to this that are in business together, just be okay with the journey and understand that, there's going to be some ups and downs, and go through it and figure out a good way to work together.
Right. And it's not the destination, because you never really get to that destination, do you?
No. If we do, we'll just extend it.
Exactly.
It's like the horizon,
That's right, yeah.
Can you ever get to the horizon?
Not at all.
No, it just keeps moving away.
Not at all.
You just got a direction.
That walk.
For sure.
And a journey. Oh, man. Such wisdom. I love it. Okay, I'm going completely sideways for a second. Brandy, I got to ask, when you were riding along, I know you rode along on the truck some. Did you get the license and learn to drive the big truck?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I was more of your
Keeping him awake by talking to her?
Passenger princess, yeah. I would,
Passenger princess.
I'd make sandwiches for him and pass it to him and things like that. But no, I never learned to drive the truck.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just, my curiosity went.
You don't look good, though, behind that wheel.
Oh, well, thank you.
We all bring skill sets, right? And what you were just talking about, knowing how to get by with little or less is not necessarily considered a valuable skill set in our economy of showy and have more, pile it up, right? But that is a skill set, and what you just said, as far as being able to know that you can weather that and not freak out, that's a skill.
That is a skill.
I agree. I think it is a skill. I think it's a gift too, and she definitely has it. And I'm not just saying that because she's sitting here and she might hit me. No, it really is.
Oh, thank
so
you.
What did you learn about yourself in this whole journey?
Brandy?
That's a good question. What have I learned about myself?
Well, I can speak for me.
You go.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned is that I've learned that I don't know nothing. Like, I think when you think you got something figured out, like, something will come and kick you right in the face with a boot. Like, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. And so I've had to learn to give myself grace, really give myself grace. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned.
Yeah. I think for myself, is I've learned not to stress out about the little things. One of Clifford's mottos is, it'll all work itself out. And I've just learned over the years just to kind of, okay, when things come up, we have to put fires out, just don't stress out about it. Just know that it's going to work out. And because it's proven itself over and over and over again. So yeah, I think that would be what I've learned. Yeah. Just not to stress out.
Yeah. Smart lessons that you probably wouldn't have learned in many other businesses.
Right.
Yeah. And it's funny because when people get in business, and this is just my opinion, and y'all have been in business a lot longer than we have, and I would love y'all's thought on this. Most businesses are about solving problems and putting out fires. Most of the time. Most people don't come to leadership when everything is great. They're mostly bringing problems and fires that need to be put out. And so when people can learn to manage the stress of putting out fires, you're typically okay. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, and one of the core questions for a business looking at their own self in the mirror for marketing purposes is, what problem do we solve for our clients? I mean, that's a key thing. And being able to see it from that point of view, because we don't buy things because we don't need them. We buy things because we're trying to, fix a problem or fill a need somehow.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so if you can depersonalize that, that's where, even the label problem, problem versus challenge, or, is there a way to reframe that a little bit to take some of the emotion out of it, and this is a situation. What are we going to do about it? What are our choices? What's our best choice? And then start moving with that. And if that proves itself not to be the best choice, then okay, what was our next best choice? Right?
Exactly.
That's just like trying stuff until something works, and it's less stressful if you can think about it like that, right?
I agree.
Agreed.
I definitely
and
agree.
always have a group of backups.
Yes.
Yeah.
And gosh, I would think with what you're doing when you're talking to a customer that's going through a really hard time in their life, whatever has led them to that, them being keeping them in the present, keeping them in the this is the situation right now. It's however it got here. This is where we are.
Yeah,
right? That's big.
You know what's funny is because before this call, so before anybody actually joins the Real Estate Corral Investors Network for mentorship or coaching, I get on a call with them to make sure that we're a good fit. Because we're very selective of the people we let in the community. And she was sharing a story that she went through foreclosure and bankruptcy in 2014. And now she's becoming a full-time real estate investor. And I think that that's so amazing because, like you mentioned, like it's just a season. Like we just need to stay present, right? Like whatever this hard challenge is that we're facing right now is just temporary. It's just temporary. And that's one reason why Brandy mentioned, I have a saying that it always works out. Like when we go back and we look at the past, I'm a man of faith. There's nothing that God has not brought us through. Nothing. His batting average is 100%. He's bringing us through. So I know that whatever storm we're walking through or whatever season we're walking through or whatever challenges come up, we will 120% get through this because my faith has shown me, or God's track record has shown me, that we're going to get through it. So I don't expect this to be any different.
And good for you for listening.
Yeah. And you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're not alone in that situation. You've got support.
Exactly.
Cool. So what else have you... learning is just such a big field here. And help me out.
That's a question. Because you're in you've created an educational business, is that because you view business as an educational opportunity?
Good question.
I don't think I necessarily see, and Brandy, you might disagree, I don't know. I don't think I necessarily see business as an educational opportunity. I think that in business, it's important for us to continue to educate ourselves and grow. That's why we invest in ourselves quite a bit through training and programs and mentorships, private masterminds, books. We do a book of a month every month and things of that nature to make sure that we're always growing. Starting the Real Estate Corral was us just solving a problem and glitches that I've seen within the real estate educational space.
So it sounds like you do agree.
Well, it's like different words. My word choice of educational opportunity was probably not the best choice of words, but as a personal growth vehicle, maybe is another way to.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely. How did that quote go? I heard one time. I'm finna butcher it. It says,
"Okay,
you only go as far as you grow," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's always something that we don't know, and so definitely having the education company, the Real Estate Corral, helps educate people to go take their wealth, their finances, their career to another level.
Mm-hmm. And what has somebody in your group taught you that you were either surprised about or was shocked about or
or was just really valuable?
Yeah.
I can go.
Go ahead.
Well, one of our members, Claudette, I think perseverance. She started out, and would you say she's kind of shy? Like, I don't know. it was just, but she never ever gave up. Like, she kept trying to get her first deal, And I think a few months ago, it's been a few months now, she was able to get her first deal. And that taught me that, as long as you keep going, just do not give up. Like, with real estate investing, everybody's experience is going to be different from each other. But if you just keep your eye on the prize, keep trying, never give up, you'll get that first deal. And after you get that first deal, you'll find that the second deal is a little bit easier. And then the third deal is a little bit easier. And that, the cycle goes on and on. So
yeah, that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, she's awesome.
That is.
And that's cool, because you can go back to her too and say to her, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And boy, will that just shoot her to the moon too.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But I think that our community pours so much into us too. Like, at least I know for me, like, we do group coaching calls every Monday. And so when I'm hearing people's success stories and they're overcoming these, or they're doing this, or they're getting these deals, or, they're hitting their financial goals or targets that they want, it just fires me up.
Oh, yeah.
It fires me up. Like, I love hearing them win. There's been times where I leave out of this office like fired up, and she's in there trying to cook dinner, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?"
He's like, "Oh."
I'm like, "Let's go." There go. I get excited. I really do get excited.
Oh. Well, and you know what a roller coaster real estate is, and has always been.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the last 20 years?
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you teach your community about the volatility of revenue? Do you try to have a certain blend of different kinds of deals to smooth out that volatility, or how do you deal with that?
Definitely that. We want to focus on our current needs, right? Like, there's people I look at real estate strategies based on financial needs. Let's say, for example, if I need a paycheck today, like now, mortgage is due, you probably want to do something along the lines like wholesaling real estate, because it's a quicker turnaround. You're going to get a fast check. Typically speaking, from contract to close, less than 30 days, right? Let's say you're working a job, things are okay, you're maintaining, nothing's going crazy. You can do a fix and flip, right? There's going to be a little time. It's going to probably take us 3 to 6 months to flip that house and actually get paid. But if we're not strapped for cash, then we can take on these bigger projects that's going to yield a much bigger return, right? Versus like even rentals, that's a long-term strategy. That's a wealth building strategy, right? One rental typically not going to change anybody's life, right? And so it's one of those things that you pick up kind of as you go along the way, and then 10 years down the line, when you're sitting back and you have 10 rentals, 20 rentals, whatever it may be, you'll definitely be glad you did. So that's kind of my approach when I'm talking to people, is like, okay, let's identify our current needs and then work it backwards.
Okay, that's very, I think, congruent with what a financial planner would do for somebody. They work, sit down with somebody and look at the whole picture, and they want to plan. They need to plan for retirement, but there's also immediate needs that need to make sure that they're covered first. Things like insurance and
eating,
eating, a savings plan, things like that. So there's focus on the immediate need. That's very well structured. I like it.
Nice. I've never been compared to a financial planner. I will take that. I'll tell you what. If you leave me alone 5 minutes with your books, they're done. I will mess them up somehow, some way. I will mess up the books within 5 minutes.
So will a lot of financial planners.
So maybe that's where the Brandy comes in with her teaching background and all the detailed planning
100%.
and organization.
100%.
So that's one of the things that we, we see or hear a lot is that division of roles. People going with their strengths and finding their strengths both personality wise and their skills, and then leveraging those in the business together and staying in their own lane. And it sounds like you guys are figured that out pretty quick. Maybe before you started the business, did you? Tell me about that.
I don't know if we figured it out right away, but
yeah,
over time,
I think so. But I do think that's important, picking a lane and staying in it with any business partner, right? Like, you want to make sure. What? Oh. I was touching the mic, y'all. I can't touch the mic.
Yeah, sometimes they're real sensitive. They'll pick up. It'll sound kind of funny. I can't touch my desk here. I'm the same way.
For sure. But no, definitely making sure that y'all complement each other. Mm-hmm. So that way, when you're touching the mic and you're not supposed to, they can kindly guide your hand off of it. Right? Like, that's having somebody that just compliments you.
Yeah, you have no idea how many times I go.
Yeah. She'll tap my leg like, hey, John, you're preaching.
Yeah, just slow that down.
Yeah.
Well, okay, where my head just went, and this is an unusual question, so feel free to say, pass. But how have you figured out to successfully manage difficult conversations?
Ooh, I got this one.
Go ahead.
With ice cream.
That's my girl.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to come to Dallas.
So Clifford, he believes that you cannot be mad at each other while eating ice cream. And I think it is so true. Like, those difficult conversations. You can't, who can get mad eating ice cream?
No. Do you know how dumb you would look licking an ice cream cone with an attitude? Like,
I think the cone must really play into that, because I can see, with a spoon, it's like you can turn it into a food fight pretty quick.
Like,
but we're not wasting any ice cream.
We're not wasting ice cream. Not over here.
Yeah.
There we go.
But
I think we need to go to the store, big boy.
I'm so glad I asked that. Okay, favorite flavor.
The next disagreement, go get a bowl of ice cream. Yeah. And I promise you, by the end of that bowl, the energy's going to be different.
It's going to be different.
There we go.
We got to try that. So that recommendation to our audience.
Right. Find yourself some ice cream.
It's going to be a difficult conversation. Get some ice cream.
And keep your mouth full so that you can hear what the other person's saying.
There you go. I like that. I like it.
I married well.
He married up.
That's it. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
So what's next on the horizon?
I got a whole list of things that are that I want next. Brandy, I'll let you answer first.
Well, I think for myself is just to continue to be supportive in whatever way that I can to Clifford and his cowboy ideas. And
And I'll say too, I think she's being modest. So Brandy actually launched a publishing company.
Cool.
So Our Great Things Publishing. I don't know if y'all can see that. I'm going to have to move can I touch the computer?
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
So that book over there, The Roadmap to Success.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote the book, and we were struggling to find a publishing company. And Brandy was like, well, why don't I publish it for you? And I was like, well, why don't you? And so she ended up launching a publishing company to do our book. And because of her, it hit #1 new release, #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Wow.
And it's blessed thousands of people. And so I'm excited, for me personally, I'm excited to see where God takes her on that journey as she goes to do amazing things there, great things, as it's called. And then for just the real estate corral, we're growing, we're scaling. Our goal is to impact more people. It's never to be the largest community, it's to be the most impactful community. And so I want to see how far God will take us on that.
So do you do it just in the Dallas area, or are you nationwide or outside?
We are
of Texas?
nationwide. We actually have a lot of members in Tampa.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Road trip.
There you go. Exactly.
Right?
I will show you ice cream too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Well,
this
that's
is
wonderful.
so
Thank
much
you so
fun.
much. Yes. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, because we love people like you that are excited about what you do.
Yeah.
And it's fun to wake up in the morning, isn't it? And the challenge sometimes is, oh, let's see what the surprise of the day is going to be.
100%.
Yeah.
That's our motto. Let's see what the surprise of the day is going to be. And
Because it's coming.
because it's coming, yeah, whether I want it or not. So embrace it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's go with it.
Absolutely.
Fun with it. Keep your sense
Exactly.
of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there again, know that it's only a short time.
It's just a season.
All temporary. Yep.
Exactly.
Sometimes that
Such a
season
great-
lasts a little long, but you know,
Longer than we wanted to.
I had one that lasted for 10 years, so I was
Yes,
I was glad
ma'am.
that season was over.
And the really fun stuff seems to last about as long as that bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, right?
But I'll take it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's really sweet when it's there.
That's right.
Exactly.
Oh,
Just
thank
like
you
me.
for spending this time with us. We'll look forward to publishing and promoting you guys, and we will let you know when that's ready.
In the
And,
show notes,
and
we'll
we'll-
have all your
We'll
contact
get your
information.
contact information. I'll recheck with you on that and get headshots of both of you so we can put that in the YouTube thumbnail, as they call it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we'll be watching.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or anything for us, we'd love to. We're here, and and wonderful life to you both.
Thank
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 you.
you. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, this was a lot of fun.
It
Thank y'all for
was.
being generous with your time and having us. And what we'll do whenever the final video is ready, we'll email this out to our email list. I'll share it on all of our social media and all that stuff. So hopefully
Fabulous.
you can get some folks there in your ecosystem.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, so get some new subscribers or something.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.